So this is an early 20th century headrest from South Africa. It's probably Zulu. And what's interesting about it is that the base is shaped like a rifle. In terms of conservation and getting it ready for display, it presents really two main challenges. The first, and that's the most obvious one, is it's obviously broken in two halves, which will need to be joined again. And secondly, it needs a really, really good clean. It's not just dirty, it's also got signs of mold growth. It's probably from a long time ago, it's no longer active, but it has left really typical disfiguring, blotchy marks all over the surface there. In terms of joining the object, we can see that there's some old adhesive on these break edges, which tells us that it's an old repair which has failed. It's not a new break which has occurred in the wood. We're also quite lucky that actually if we put the two halves on each other, we've still got a really good fit. Sometimes you get a lot of distortion. In this case you don't, and there's only a very, very small area of loss, material loss on there. I've dry cleaned the object, or I've cleaned it using dry methods, so I've vacuumed it and brushed it, and I've used some cleaning sponges, dry cleaning sponges on the surface, but that didn't remove this mould that's on the top surface of this headrest. I found that just water actually removes this mould, which is lucky because it means that I don't have to apply any harsher solvents to it at all, because anything stronger than water, like alcohols or white spirit, it would risk affecting the varnish that's on the surface. You still have to be a bit careful because obviously water and organic materials like wood don't really go very well together, or the water will affect organic surfaces. I always have a dry swab to hand as well so that I can mop up if I see that the surface looks like it's getting a little bit too wet. Yeah, so I do have to work one little area for quite some time before I get all this mould off, so you do see the difference. I'm also very happy that I don't have to worry too much about this varnish, so I can really make sure that it's very clean. There's sometimes a bit of a compromise in conservation that you can't clean something to the point that you want, because then you're actually causing more damage, but in this case that's not a problem. So having cleaned the object, now I'm ready to carry out the repair. For this I've chosen to use a fish glue. Animal glues are quite often used in wood repairs because they're strong, and we do want that in this case. It's a fairly heavy object and it does need quite a strong adhesive. But the downside of many animal glues is that they can be quite difficult to remove. They can be almost too strong for the material that they're applied to, which means should the object ever suffer an impact again, a break is likely to occur in a different place, and that's not what we want. So to try and get around that problem, I've actually used another adhesive, a synthetic resin called Paraloid B72, which we use a lot in conservation for many different materials. So very thinly coat all the break edges first. Paraloid B72 will be easier to remove, so if the repair ever needs to be taken down, it'll just be a matter of applying a bit of acetone, and it will also reduce the strength of the bond between the fish glue and the wood in the event of an impact in the future. So we're really exploiting the best properties of these adhesives. So now, because the fish glue does take a little bit of time to set, a day or so, and in the meantime the two pieces can slide around over each other, so it's important to hold them in place. Okay, I think that's probably it. Happy with that.